Hello and good evening, East Africa. Welcome to this week's edition of Bottomline East Africa. It's the first day of the work week. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole, and tonight we continue with our analysis on the outcome of the elections in Uganda. Different views coming out from the European Union and from the African leaders. We'll be analyzing that, speaking to Peter Alingo. He's observed quite a few elections in his time. We'll also be speaking to Martin Olo on the elections in Uganda, as well as the surprising news coming out of Kenya. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta declining to form a tribunal against a Supreme Court judge who's at the center of a bribery scandal. We'll be getting analysis on that on the show as well. Let's take a look at our top stories tonight. Besigye detained again as Museveni tells off proponents of presidential term limits. Supreme Justice Kenyatta declines to appoint a tribunal to investigate a judge at the center of a bribery scandal. Nothing but a number. Robert Mugabe celebrates his 92nd birthday with no sign of a let-up on Zimbabwe. Welcome to the program tonight. We start in Uganda, naturally. The Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye was detained for the fourth time in 8 days Monday after he failed to unseat long-serving President Yoweri Museveni in an election observers say was marked by intimidation and lacked transparency. Ingrid Turinawe, a senior official with Besigye's FDC party, said their party leader was being prevented from gathering evidence as part of his challenge of the election result. Here is a package from Moses Walugembe, a reporter with our partner station, NBS.
By Monday morning, Forum for Democratic Change Party 2016 presidential candidate Dr. Kizza Besigye's home remained surrounded by a heavy police deployment at all entrances. Besigye had planned to march to the Electoral Commission offices to demand for a transcript of last week's poll results, which he has dismissed as fraudulent. Close to 10 a.m., Besigye left his house in his Land Cruiser VX8, but the big police presence could not let him drive as he was roadblocked. His attempts to walk were nipped in the bud as the police arrested him.
Are you under arrest still? Is he under arrest? Is he under arrest? Is this man under arrest?
We just want to know, please don't talk to me.
If you're taking him, can you please say if he's under arrest? Is he under arrest or not?
Move in here.
They bundled him into a police van and whisked him away to Nagalama police station, where he spent the rest of the day. In the scuffle, a plainclothed police officer pepper-sprayed one Isaac Kasamani, an Associated Press photojournalist, causing uproar from colleagues.
But go and see, he's right there. Go and assaulted.
Journalists demanded that the officer be arrested, but Kasangati Police Commander James Kawalia concealed the officer, saying he did not know him.
You told me
they are operating without your orders.
That is not my troop.
Then you have done a very big mistake.
That one is not my troop.
Right?
That one is your troop. Maybe you came with him.
Kampala East Police Commander Siraje Bakaleke told NBS the four-time presidential aspirant had planned to cause chaos in the city.
Because we got intelligence that Besigye and of course others, we are monitoring them. They are mobilizing people from different parts of the country, Kasese, Mbalala, Jinja, Guru, to come and cause havoc in the state. Damage property, beat up innocent people and put business on a standstill in Kampala.
But the Inspector General of Police, General Kale Kaihura, had another take on the arrest, saying Besigye was breaking the Public Order Management Act, which mandates that anyone who is organizing a protest should inform police at least 3 days to the event.
Right now, he's violated the Public Order Management Act for calling for a procession without notifying the police in accordance with Section 5 of the Public Order Management Act. So he's committed a crime.
Well, it is not the first time Dr. Kizza Besigye has been arrested and brought to this police station here at Nagalama. Now, the FDC leader had been arrested and put under heavy police guard since he was put under house arrest on Saturday prior to the announcement of the final election results. The arrest and the heavy police deployment at Besigye's home have been condemned by human rights activists. The Uganda Human Rights Network, Hurinet, has called for an end to the siege to allow Besigye and his supporters enjoy their rights to association. Moses Walgembe, KTN News, Kampala, Uganda.
Meanwhile, Uganda's re-elected President Yoweri Museveni has told the BBC that he does not accept the logic of term limits. The BBC's Zuhura Yunus talked to the president, who has been in power for 30 years, about whether leaders should be around forever. Here is part of that interview.
There's been a clampdown, especially on the main two opposition leaders, Amama Mbabazi and Dr. Kizza Besigye. You've been holding them, and especially for Dr. Kizza Besigye, he can't go out. Or are you threatened by any chance?
Not threatened by, but they wanted to cause violence. They wanted to cause violence. First of all, Besigye was trying to declare his own results, which were false. But also to incite violence by some youth going to attack petrol stations and so on, and we had to stop that.
The observers, the EU, specifically said the elections lacked independence and transparency. And in a way, it's the same thing that Dr. Kizza Besigye was complaining about, irregularities.
You know, those Europeans are not serious. This is my problem with them, not only in the matter of election, but in so many other things. The transparency, that's what we have been fighting for. This biometric voting, the fingerprint, where your fingerprint is unique. This is what we have been fighting for. When you vote with that, you eliminate anybody who wants to do multiple voting, who wants to impersonate another one. They should be saluting that, because that's the real solution.
But the EU also spoke about heavy military presence.
This is because, you know, Uganda is not going to be like some of the other African countries, which they are used to. Because of a young culture of democracy, some of these participants are not civil.
Are there any plans of changing the term limits for presidency?
We don't believe in term limits. The people who talk of term limits, we don't agree with them. We think they are not really addressing the real issue. The real issues in Africa are not who, they are what.
When you say we, who do you mean we?
We in the NRM, our party.
What about the people of Uganda?
Oh, they voted on it. They have voted for me because they know that it's not the first time. They have just voted. They were being told that issue. They ignored it. They don't believe in it. Why don't we instead address issues of substance? East African Federation. I don't hear anybody talking about that. Instead of talking about the future of Africa, you're talking about term limits, about who will sit on this chair. Why don't you talk about the future of Africa?
But that is part of it. People talk about their leaders, and some people think that their leaders shouldn't be there like forever. So that's part of the discussion.
If you don't want them to be there forever, you vote them out. The issue is not being there forever. The issue is availability. These people are not legislating against whether people should stay there forever or not, because that one they can do by voting him out if they don't want him. That's our reasoning. That's why we don't, because we say Africa's got a lot of problems. We need all the human resource, all the leadership resource to be available to see whether they can contribute. So we don't accept the logic of term limits.
All right, we'll be having more analysis on that. That interview is courtesy of the BBC. Now, still on Uganda, 4.67% of the total votes cast in the elections were declared invalid. This is a percentage that comes in third, with the exception of the incumbent President Yoweri Museveni and Dr. Kizza Besigye. So what could have caused close to 500,000 votes to be put to waste in such a crucial election? KTN's Solomon Serwanja explores the paradox of the invalid votes, or let's call them wasted votes, in the recently concluded elections.
Outstanding in the results from the recently concluded Uganda's elections were the number of invalid votes. According to the Electoral Commission, out of the 9,701,738 votes cast, 455,175 votes were declared invalid, forming 4.69% of the total vote count. In fact, the figure is way bigger than any other presidential candidate, other than the incumbent President Yoweri Museveni and Dr. Kizza Besigye, who came in second. These figures, even though shocking to many, are not significantly different from those from the previous elections. In fact, a background check of the 2011 elections reveals that out of the 8,272,760 ballots cast, 334,545 votes were considered invalid, forming 4.04% of the total votes. This has left many questioning what could be the problem behind these wasted votes. NRM's Yoweri Kaguta Museveni claimed that the invalid votes belonged to him.
Even me, I was telling them, Tonyeza ku bus. So when they come, they take the bus now. Now this biased, or even they take the candidate. These biased election officials, the polling people, they say this is invalid. Those invalid votes are all exception Museveni's votes.
In order to understand what could have caused this, we sampled some people on the streets of Kampala on how they voted.
In the box, because it is the right thing to do. I ticked in the empty box.
Very empty.
I ticked the person's picture.
So where do you tick? The last one. The last box.
Some Ugandans fault the Electoral Commission for not conducting enough sensitization. However, according to the Electoral Commission, sensitization is not reason enough for the huge numbers of the invalid votes.
So you cannot really put that issue of invalid votes to our voter education being insufficient. Okay, because there are voices which are saying, is it a result of insufficient voter education? No. Look at it like a class. You have taught, you have given tests. Others have passed, others have failed.
The electoral body also puts the blame on the agents and the voters, who put a lot of pressure on the polling agents.
Of course, after voting, you know there has been a competition in the day. Now people are counting. So any slight mistake, agents are putting pressure are putting pressure to our presiding officers. Akokafu. Because probably somebody ticked and somehow the tick ended in somebody's photograph.
However, the Electoral Commission says that some of the votes that could have been declared invalid could actually be valid.
The intention of a voter is known. Because sure, if you have ticked in the photograph of Solomon, definitely the intention of a voter is clear. But in the field, some people may refuse and say, no, the tick was supposed to be in this space provided, so we are not going to count that one. And our officers will succumb to that pressure from the agents and the voters.
So whether you tick the candidate's photo, his symbol, his name, or the last tick box, your ballot still remains valid. The Commission also insists that if the tick begins from the preferred candidate and ends in another candidate's box, the vote still remains valid. However, if you make a cross in the empty box instead of using a tick, then your vote is considered invalid. The authorized mark of choice according to the Electoral Commission is either a tick or a thumbprint. Now, this is just a painting on the walls of the Electoral Commission that perhaps plays a role of informing the public about how to vote. However, many Ugandans still think that the Electoral Commission can do much more, especially if it's to reduce the number of invalid votes in the next elections. Solomon Serwanja, KTN News.